Thank you, Tanisha. The sheriff's office says the number of opioid-related deaths in the county keeps increasing, and the county coalition is taking action. Our Jake Chapman is live on how they're trying to stop the epidemic. Jake?
Well, David, the Hamilton County Coalition launched its response initiative early this afternoon, where they're actually going to have a series of 3 classes in the next couple days here at the Coalition to explain to people on what to do in an overdose situation. We actually sat in that first class, and if you actually take a look at your screen right now, you can see that dozens of people showed up to learn how to properly use Narcan, which is the medication used to help someone during a drug overdose. And according to the Coalition, Narcan is the only way to reverse an opioid overdose. Now, Narcan saved over 2,000 lives in Tennessee, has saved over 2,000 lives in Tennessee since 2017. Now, the medication only lasts 30 minutes to an hour and a half, and it's not addictive. We mentioned earlier in our broadcast that there were 85 overdose deaths in Hamilton County back in 2017, and 66 of them were from the use of opioids. They also say more people die in the United States a day due to overdoses than car crashes. Another shocking number we were told at this class earlier is the huge increase in fentanyl overdoses in recent years. From 2013 to 2017, they saw an 800% increase in fentanyl overdoses. Now, it's not clear what drug was caused the overdoses here in Hamilton County and the 4 overdose deaths that happened in Chattanooga in the past 24 hours, and they will not know what those drugs are until the toxicology report comes back in. I'll have another report coming up at 6.
Channel 3's Jake Chapman spoke with Barrett Chambers about his awesome responsibility. Jake.
Well, Sydney, Barrett Chambers started driving for Riverbend about 4 years ago. He started when he was 13 years old. Yeah, you heard that right. But he tells me that age is just a number, and when he's out on the water, it's just second nature to him.
So I got real comfortable doing it, and you know, I've always kind of felt like if my grandfather's K.O. Irwin is confident enough with me to drive this boat, you know, I shouldn't fear it if he trusts me to do it.
There isn't a boat on the water 17-year-old Barrett Chambers can't drive. Boating has been his entire life. He drove his first boat at just 6 years old.
It takes time to learn it all, but it's much simpler than most people think.
He showed me all the controls, which look like a lot to deal with, especially when you're driving for big names like Keith Urban. But Barrett says he thrives under pressure.
A lot of people tend to panic when they get freaked out or something. You know, the wind's blowing the boat around or something. But, you know, if you get in a bind, just turn around and restart. I mean, you know, you'd rather turn around and restart than bash it off the docks.
At 13 years old, Barrett got a job with Riverbend to make sure the headliners got to the Coca-Cola stage. Over the years, he's had a chance to meet some big names like Ludacris, Weezer. He even drove Harry Connick Jr. for a special performance honoring the Fallen Five. But it's what country star Toby Keith said that has this young captain feeling more confident.
When he left, they asked him, they were like, you know, Toby, what was the coolest thing about Chattanooga? And he was like, actually, our young captain. I just thought that was really cool. I was like, that's pretty cool to hear.
He says this is the best job he's ever had.
But it's just something I take pride in, you know. It's fun being the captain, you know, everybody listening to you or whatever, and I think I'll stay doing it for a long time.
Now Chambers' grandfather, I should say, runs Irwin Marine Boat Rentals, which is how he got the job in the first place. But get this, in the state of Tennessee, you only have to be 12 years old to get your boater's license. Now his grandfather, I should say, tells you that Barrett, when he's out there on the water, he looks like he's been driving for over 30 years. Riverbend will start a little bit early tomorrow afternoon with some great acts, and the headliner will be Macklemore, so we'll have live coverage out here tomorrow at 6 and 11. For now, I'm live at Riverbend. Jake Chapman, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Greg Glover. Cindy has the night off. A former soldier in Cleveland turned 97 this week. 75 years ago today, though, he didn't know if he'd ever see another birthday. The museum at 5 Points hosted a history happy hour this evening where he told a small portion of his D-Day story. Channel 3's Jake Chapman spoke with Ralph Painter, a recipient of the Bronze Star, who rode a tank onto the shores of Utah Beach. Jake is in the studio with his story.
Greg, Ralph Painter was in the back of the first tank that hit the shores of Utah Beach on this day 75 years ago, and he remembers every little detail of one of the most violent days in history.
I tried 2 or 3 times to write something about it, you know, so the grandkids would know about it. But I have nightmares so bad I can't do it. So I saw so much, it was just bad.
June 6, 1944 isn't just a normal day in history for Army Staff Sergeant Ralph Painter. It's a day that will be seared in his mind forever.
Yeah, we was the first vehicle on the beach, 2 tanks.
That was Utah Beach in Normandy, France.
There's dead people laying everywhere.
But those aren't the only tough memories. In April of 1944, he'd been caught in the middle of Operation Tiger, a training operation for D-Day that went terribly wrong. The massacre was withheld from the public for over 4 decades.
And those U-boats came in there and they killed about 860 sailors. They burned up in their ships they was on the landing craft, but we didn't get on the landing craft.
Painter also saw action in the Battle of the Bulge, the deadliest single battle in U.S. history. The fighting in Belgium was waged in minus 20-degree weather. After all he experienced in 1944 and 45, he was just ready to go.
Well, they asked me if I wanted to put in for disability. I told them no, I want to get home.
Back stateside, Painter worked for TVA as an engineer for more than 30 years. Only 20 of the men in his battalion are still alive. I asked him if he ever wanted to return to the historic battlegrounds. He said, the past is in the past.
But I didn't want to go back over there. I get seasick and I get sick flying.
Even though mentally it's been a difficult road for him, he wants his family to always know he would do it all over again.
I want them to think about me and what I did was the greatest thing ever happened to me. It was.
He turned 97 on Tuesday. He also told me he went to his high school reunion last week and was the only one left in his graduating class. I asked him if he still talks to any of the men from his battalion. He says his former lieutenant, who's over 100, still sends them newsletters. And Greg, I've never gotten to hear one-on-one someone from that day, and just with the way he described it was just chilling.
They're survivors, and they're still around. We need to enjoy them while we can.
Yes, we
do. And
do.
Celebrate them too. Jake, thank you so much.
Hannah Boulware isn't like most students at UTC.
I love comic books.
So what's your favorite comic book?
That's hard. What universe?
She's been a huge comic book fan for most of her life. She even did a presentation on comic book character Lois Lane at a national undergraduate conference this past year, though there have been times in her recent memory that haven't been so super.
I can't smell. I broke my olfactory bulbs when I fell. I have a permanent crack in my skull. Those are just the permanent things.
She was a junior in high school when she had a seizure and fell down 17 concrete steps at Chattanooga High School Center for Creative Arts in 2012. She was in a coma for 2 weeks and was in rehab for nearly 6 months. She suffered brain damage and had to learn how to walk and talk again. Doctors said her life would be more difficult after the accident.
Well, in my mind, I didn't have to learn to rewalk because I refused to believe it happened. So,
though it was tough, Hannah says the best way she was able to move forward in life was with a little laughter.
it took me the longest time to even be like, I'm different than I once was. And so laughter and making fun of it and everything helped me move past it.
Despite the odds, Hannah kept fighting.
I wanted to show everybody that I could do it because so many people, it takes them a longer time to recover as fast as I did. I'm like 1 in a million that could recover as fast as I did.
Hannah went to prom, graduated high school, and now she'll graduate from UTC this Saturday with her degree in psychology and on the dean's list, proving the doctors who told her she wouldn't be able to do this were wrong.
And I wanted to be like, hey, I'm awesome. Hair flip.
If that's not what you are. Really, it's hard for the family. For their religious beliefs, it's a lot of family structure, and it's hard for them right now.
Muhammad Sharif's family, fiancé, and friends clung to each other as a judge heard testimony from the man accused of killing Sharif. Alex Tyler, who lived with Sharif at UTC, says he was supposed to be married this past Saturday, which makes this even tougher to process.
They fell in love. They were soulmates, and it's something that I couldn't picture myself in a better situation.
20-year-old DeMarcus White stood before a judge today, charged with homicide and robbery. Judge Clarence Shattuck increased his bond to $750,000 after watching video of detectives interviewing White. White admitted to shooting and killing Sharif in what he described as a robbery gone wrong. The two met on Facebook, where Sharif was selling an Xbox.
We were paranoid. We were running back to the car. I know what he was going back to the car for. They didn't want to make me shoot.
White told detectives he did not plan to kill Sharif, that he acted in the moment. Tyler says that's no excuse.
To my mind, it's senseless. No one could think of something like this happening or even try to do something like this. So it's completely senseless. I can't think about anybody that would do that to anybody else.
Tyler says he and Sharif were supposed to graduate together in May. He now plans to follow White's case through court and take every opportunity to tell people about his friend taken too soon.
I love you. You're in a better place than I am. I'll see you very soon.